Welcome to Connie Reacts. I'm your host, and today we are finally getting to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Season 8. So, yeah, it feels like it hasn't been a lot of time at all since the Season 7 finale aired. But we're already here at the premiere of Season 8, and I'm excited. Now, I will say off the bat, I know nothing, pretty much, about this premiere, or the season to come. Which is amazing considering there were all these leaks and stuff. Apparently, whole episodes were leaked. They weren't final; they were still in still being made, so they were like only partially completed. But there were full episodes. There were a bunch of info, and I don't know how accurate a lot of this stuff is. So I didn't want to record anything ahead of time, especially since I heard that they weren't fully completed or anything yet. Um, so I waited, and now we are here with the official premiere. The only thing I happen to know about Season 8 is that apparently there's new characters in the premiere. That's not too surprising. So it's not a huge spoiler for me. Granted, I kind of maybe wish I didn't know, but it's not a huge deal. It's not a huge deal. I don't know anything about these new characters. I just know they're new characters. Uh, and I don't even know how important they are. I don't know if they're premiere only characters, or if they're just characters who will appear every now and again, or if they're going to be new main characters in any way. I do not know. Now, as for getting things started, this is going to be a bit of a longer opening segment to this redirect here. So if you want to just go watch the reaction at this point, you can. But I will be going over my wish list for this season, because I want to just go through that real quick before we begin. I was going to make another video on it, but I forgot. And I don't want to make it after I react to this, and I want to react to this, so I'm doing it now as just part of the opening, and then I'll also cut this part out of the redirect, and I'll post it on its own as well. That way, if anyone wants to go just watch this in the meantime, or in the future, and doesn't want to watch this right away, just wants to get to my reaction, they can find it that way. So let me just pull this up real quick. I'm not going to be going too in-depth with each thing. I just want to, of course, bring it up. I want to just tell you, yeah, this is on my wish list. This is what I want to see from this season. Yeah. So, just give me a second. Okay, now, these are not in any specific order, but I will tell you ahead of time which ones I think have a good chance of happening and which ones I think are probably a lower chance. So first off, we have one that I think is kind of a medium chance of happening. There's definitely the possibility, but at the same time, there's also a possibility of it not happening specifically the way I want it. I want an episode that's centered on the Reformed Four, who are Starlight, Trixie, Discord, and Thorax. And what I mean by this is I want an episode focused on them as a team. Sort of like how the Season 6 finale went. Because we've seen episodes like last season and all that focused on Starlight and Trixie. We saw a Discord episode. We saw episodes that had Thorax. But I want to see an episode focused on the four of these characters as a team again. Whether they're just hanging out and doing stuff together, or are actually having some kind of big adventure again. Now, some of these are also coming in from past lists, ones that weren't completed last time and whatnot. And this next one is one of those. I want a Psycho Pony episode. We haven't seen a good Psycho Pony episode in a while. And what do I mean by that? I mean an episode like Lesson 0, where a character just goes completely insane. These episodes often lead to great character development as well as just a very entertaining premise that keeps us coming back for more every time. I mean, think about it. Party of One, Lesson Zero, even Inspiration Manifestation with Rarity. All three of those episodes were great episodes because, in part, they were Psycho Pony episodes. They featured characters, main cast specifically, going completely nuts. And you could kind of count the season 1 finale in to some degree because Fluttershy kind of progressively gets more crazy during that episode, but I want like an entire episode focused around it again. We haven't had one in a good while, and I think it would just be fun. Plus, they always tend to be good. So, next I want to see the return of Babs Seed. We haven't seen Babs as a character. I'm not talking like background appearances at all. We haven't seen Babs as a character since basically season 3. She was mentioned once more, mentioned as getting her cutie mark and stuff, but we haven't really seen her as a character since the season of her debut. And I think that's a massive misstep. The CMC have now gotten their cutie marks, and I think it would be a huge mistake to just never return to bringing Babs back, to just never have her be in there again. She has her cutie mark as well, and I think it would be a fantastic episode to have her come back, and maybe we get a good explanation for her cutie mark, as well as the CMC like just reconnecting with her now that they've all grown up so much. I want to see the return of any and or all of Twilight's Canterlot friends. You know, Moondancer, Minuet, Lemon Hearts, Twinkleshine, who I always forget the name of for some reason. I want to see one or more of them return again in a main focus. Moondancer would be my #1 choice because Moondancer was always my favorite of them, but I would love to see any of them. And again, not just a background appearance, not even just a very small cameo here or there. I mean as a focused return. It doesn't have, the entire episode doesn't have to focus on them, but I want to see them get speaking lines and have them be, you know, acknowledged. I want to see the return of Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon. It's been way too long since their last real appearance in Crusaders of the Lost Mark. You see, they were redeemed and then pretty much just thrown to the wayside. It's almost like the writers just don't know what to do with them now, and that's honestly a crime in my opinion. There is so many options. I've heard from the fandom in general on how to work their characters now, and I think that it's a huge misstep in not taking any of those routes. I think that the show just, it's like they fulfilled their purpose and now they're done with? No. No, if you want to be technical, both Rarity and Rainbow Dash fulfilled their purposes. They reached their goals. They have new stuff going for them. Twilight fulfilled her purpose. She became a princess. She had a new character arc start. Why can't they do the same with Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon? Maybe have it show them struggling to fit in. Maybe have it show them struggling for others to really accept them as good now after all they did. Stuff like that would be fantastic as an example. Now I also want to see Chrysalis return for revenge specifically against Starlight. Chrysalis vowed revenge against Starlight at the end of season 6, and I think it's definitely building towards something. We didn't see her at all in season 7, which I'm actually glad about. I'm glad we didn't get that right away, because I think it would be a little hard to believe that Chrysalis would be able to gather the resources and followers necessary to stage a revenge attack in that time. So I think she definitely needs to just take some time off for the moment. But I want to see her return in this season, preferably in the finale. I think it would be a good point to do that at. The next one on the list, I do not want a Luna episode, unless it's a Royal Sisters episode. I've made it no secret in the past that I don't like Luna. I don't hate her, per se, but I do not like her as a character. I think she's overrated, completely edgy, and just not that interesting. The only time she's ever done really well is when she has interactions with Celestia. Season 7, Episode 10, A Royal Problem, from last season was an amazing example of how to do her character right. But that's because it focused on her and Celestia's relationship to each other and gave a lot more depth to her. I want to see episodes like that. So I think there shouldn't be a Luna episode unless it's a Royal Sisters episode, because let's be honest, the solo Luna focused episodes, like the basically the Nightmare Night episode, which I forgot what exactly it was called, Luna Eclipsed, and Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep were both very problematic and just not that good. So next, I want to see Scootaloo's family. Most notably, her lesbian aunts. Yeah, some people might not realize that still. Scootaloo has canonically lesbian aunts. They were first mentioned in one of the chapter books that came out, I believe, at the end of last year, in the fall, I believe. And while it didn't explicitly state that they were together, it was confirmed by the writer of the book. And honestly, I think it's just been a long time coming. Scootaloo canonically has family now. Apparently in the book, it also revealed her parents are always away, so that's why it always seems like she doesn't. And by the way, the chapter books are have been confirmed by the show staff to be considered canon unless they are specifically, like, what's the word for it? Unless the show specifically contradicts them. Let's put it that way. So they are to be considered canon, so we have to consider it canon for Scootaloo to have parents who are always away and to live with her aunts. I think it's been a long time coming. We've seen Sweetie Belle's family. We've seen Apple Bloom's family. They're kind of big parts of the show, for the most part, except for Sweetie and Rarity's parents. But I think it's about time we meet Scootaloo's family. And just, we've seen her house. We need to prove that she's not an orphan, because I hate that headcanon. Not that there's anything wrong with having an orphan character, but the headcanon kind of came out of nowhere and with no real provocation, and I just feel like it needs to be debunked at this point. Next up, I want to see zebra culture introduced. We just need it. We need more on zebras. We've only had one zebra on the show, Zecora, and she doesn't even appear that often anymore, and when she does, it's not even that big of a deal. But we need to learn more about Zecora's culture, where she's from, and all of that. I mean, we know, like, the decor and stuff around her house is from her homeland, but that's all we really know. I also, going back to Scootaloo, I want to see Scootaloo learn to fly. I am not one of the people who subscribes to the idea, the fan theory, that she's disabled. There's multiple bits of evidence in the show that says that she will be able to fly one day. And that she's basically just a late bloomer. Because, well, one of the big things is we've seen her hover. We've seen that she can get up there, but she just doesn't have the strength in her wings to get further than that right now. So I definitely think she will, and I really hope it happens. And I'm going to keep hoping every season until it does. So next up, I want to see side characters from seasons 1 through 7 return. Characters who had a side role or a supporting cast role, but never really came back in any way. A big example of this would be Lightning Dust from Wonderbolt Academy. I think she should definitely return, and it would be an amazing reason to bring her back. But this listing here is just in general, seasons 1 through 7 side characters. I want to see references to past generations. We got some of that with last season, but I want to see it more. I just want to continue to see that. Because it's just always good to see. It's always good to have those references and for the show to acknowledge its past. Even if the past generations weren't as good. Even if they weren't, they should still be acknowledged and maybe done in ways to make them better. Like Tyrek was, for example. I want more of Starlight Glimmer's harem. You know what I'm talking about. Trixie, Maud, was this the name? You know what I'm talking about, though. All of, like, these new friends that Starlight has that everybody ships her with. They were all kind of put together in the Season 7 penultimate episode prior to the finale, and I want to see more of them. I just want to see them expanded more upon, and I want to see her harem, as I call it, grow. I want a derpy-centered episode. Not like Slice of Life, where she was one of the characters that were focused on. I want an episode focused solely on her. And I'm being completely serious. Derpy is a character who is constantly seen in the background. There's all this information given through background gags and stuff. But she's one of the most beloved characters of the show. The fandom just adores her. And background gags aren't enough. We need her to actually be a character. And Dr. Hooves can be there, or another background character. That'd be fine. But we need to have a derpy-focused episode. We just need to have more of her. We can't just relegate her to background gags. It doesn't have to be this huge, massive, important episode, but just something, you know? Next, I want to see Starlight's family. Out of the main 7, Starlight's the only one we haven't met any family members from, or even heard about any family members for. And I feel like meeting Starlight's family would actually give a good look into how she became the way that she was, that led her to creating the village. Because I think that's important. Because while it's clear that, yes, Sunburst leaving and not really communicating with her afterwards was a catalyst for her kind of losing her mind, we have to view it as the parents had to have had an active role in that too. Whether they were never there for her or something, because if her parents were there for her and really caring and loving, then it just seems weird that she would go that route. But the fact is we don't know, and I would like to see that explained and see just what they had to do with everything. I want to see another heartwarming episode. They're almost always good. The only heartwarming episode I didn't like was, ironically, the first one. But I didn't hate it either. It wasn't that amazing to me. I want to see another one, and I would just love to see it focus on someone else. We've had all these different focuses. We had the Christmas Carol one. We had the one with Pinky and Applejack's families. Maybe get a heartwarming episode focused on, like, Rarity and maybe the holiday rush of her business. That would be fun. Or something like that in general. I don't think we should have one that focuses on everyone, but just kind of this, like, one that focuses on a specific character or a group of characters, but not like the main 7. You know what I mean. Next, I want to see references to or continuity from the movie. This is kind of a long shot. I don't know if this is going to happen, and honestly, I'm thinking maybe not. But the movie has been confirmed canon, and that it occurs between Season 7 and 8. So the fact that there could be canon from it, or continuity from it, in Season 8 is possible. But I say I think it's very unlikely because it's the movie. They kind of have it almost as this separate thing, and it almost feels like trying to connect it like that would be like trying to connect Equestria Girls and Friendship is Magic, which, I mean, was connected with the Season 7 finale and showing the sirens in there. But at the same time, it's like that's all we really got, and it's not like we're going to ever see Sunset return in the actual series. So I don't know. Maybe they'll make references to it. Maybe they'll have these little things here and there. But I would like that at least, if there's no actual straight-up continuity or characters from it shown. Next up, I want to see references to or continuity from Equestria Girls. Going back with the Season 7 finale and the Sirens, I want to see more things like that. Again, doesn't have to be huge. Doesn't have to be like Sunset returning, which, again, I don't think will ever happen. But just something. Even just mentioning it would be nice. I want to see more of Rarity's boutiques. Not just her main one in Ponyville, but I want to see the Canterlot boutique and the Manhattan one as well. I think it just needs to be shown more, because they are huge parts of her character and her growth. That includes seeing both Sassy Saddles and Coco Pamela along with them. I want to see more non-main 7 map episodes. We did have Starlight, but again, main 7 in Season 7. But we also had Spike have a map episode. Why not the CMC? The Cutie Mark Crusaders having a map episode would make enormous sense for their talent. Being who they are, they should have a map episode. It's just logical. I want to see the return / redemption of Lightning Dust. I kind of already mentioned this with the season 1 through 7 side character, but I'm mentioning again here specifically with Lightning Dust, because I think she has the most room, the most potential for character growth after what we saw in Wonderbolt's Academy. I want to see the return of the Pillars of Equestria from the season 7 finale. The Pillars were so well built up and so well handled. I just love them as characters. I mean, some more than others, of course. Big Sonambula fangirl here. But I want to see them return, because now that they're in Equestria and just exploring around, I want to see them more and more and see what they can do and see just how they're interacting and reacting. Heck, maybe have... it was Star Swirl. He said that he'd be willing to come back every now and again and maybe give a lecture or something. I would love to see that. I want to see Pinky and Marble, or Pinky and Limestone, have a sisters episode. In, was it season 6, I believe? I believe it was season 6. We had the episode where Pinky and Rarity were hanging out with Maude, and Pinky revealed that she has these days set aside every year to just hang out with each of her sisters. Yet we only saw the one with Maude. We didn't see any with Limestone or Marble, and I think we should. Limestone and Marble don't have as much development or anything as Maude, and to be fair, they're not as popular. Maude is insanely popular with the fandom, so it makes sense that they'd keep bringing her back. And I want to continue to see Maude be brought back, but I also want to see an episode that's focused on Pinky with one of her other sisters, especially if it's having one of those sister days. I think it would be a great opportunity. I want to see little to no Flurry Heart. I don't like Flurry Heart. I do not like the concept of Flurry Heart. Everything about Flurry Heart pisses me off. Her very existence hurt the lore of the series. And I'm big into lore. Lore is a big thing for me, especially with MLP. So I want to see little to no of her. If she does appear, no big roles, please. I want to see new locations, more than just 1 or 2, and I want them to, like, really be shown as a new location, to really be delved into. I think that would be great. I want to see more Big Mac and Sugar Bell continuity. We saw them kind of in the foreground of another episode after their initial relationship episode, and I want to see just more of them together, because they are a canon couple. And Sugar Bell is a big part of Big Mac's life. I think it was, who was it? Crap. Apple Geek. I think it was Apple Geek who said in his Season 8 wish list that he wouldn't mind seeing a wedding episode for Big Mac and Sugar Bell. And honestly, I would love that. Because, one, it would feel right. And two, it would actually be good growth. I mean, we've had wedding episodes. Our first wedding episode had to introduce new characters who would since have become big name characters in the show. But when their introduction, they weren't. They were new characters brought in just for the concept of the wedding. And after that, we had, was Cranky and Matilda the next one? And they had been shown before, but they weren't, like, huge characters or anything. What was the other? I swear there was another wedding episode besides that. Oh, I'm not sure. Either way, I want a wedding episode that's focused on characters who have been a part of continuity, not just as a couple, but as characters who have been a bigger thing. Because let's be honest, with Cranky and Matilda, the episode they were introduced in was all about their reuniting as a couple. So, Big Mac was in this entire series since episode 1. Sugar Bell has been there since the season 5 premiere. And while she hasn't been a major character, she's appeared every now and again and has a character to her. I would love to see a wedding between them. I also want to see the return of Grandpair. After his debut in the best episode of the series last season, I just think he should return as a character. Even if he's just shown in the background or seen interacting with the family, I mean, obviously it's going to be hard to get William Shatner again because he's such a huge name and probably costs a lot, let's be honest. But even if he's just there, I want to see that because he's part of the family again. They accept and welcome him back, and I want to see that really come to a head. I want to see more Apple Parents info. I want like another episode that not focuses on them as much as the Perfect Pair did, but I want to see I want to find out more about them, especially after they started having the Apple siblings, and especially I want to know what happened to them. I mean, it's not super important, but I want to know. I want to see the Griffins return, specifically Gilda and Greta. That's right, specifically Gilda and Greta. Gilda for obvious reasons, because she's just a fascinating, entertaining character. And Greta, because Greta was Gilda's first Griffin friend. I think they should go more into that and build Greta as a character. Gabby, I don't want to see return. I can't stand Gabby. She pisses me off. I don't want to see her return. But Griffins in general, heck, I'd accept Grandpa Gruff returning. But Gilda and Greta especially. I want to see an LGBT character. Now, this can go back into Scootaloo's aunts, but just in general, I think it needs to happen. The LGBT community is huge with MLP. I mean, the shipping of all these LGBT shippings, as well as there's just a lot of people in the brony community who are LGBT and want that kind of representation in the show. Even if you don't get the representation for your specific subset of the community. I doubt there's going to be a trans character, for example. But even just having something that represents the community in there, I think would be a huge, huge thing. Whether a ship gets confirmed, I mean, there's sort of Lyra and Bon, sort of. They kind of try to play it off as just friends, but the body language of the characters in the animation and stuff kind of tells us otherwise. But that's not actually canon as of yet. And, I mean, heck, that alone would be fine. I ship Lyra and Bon. I'd be good with that. But we just need something, you know? I want to see another celebrity VA. And by another one, I mean not one of the ones we've already had, although I'd love to see them return. I want to see another new one. Because celebrity VAs are just always fun. They're always great, and they always usually come up with some really good voice actors to really give this some depth to it. I just want to see more of that. And finally, yes, finally, we're getting to the end of my wish list. I want to see another fandom criticism episode. I know, the one from last season kind of had some divisiveness with it, but I loved it, and because I felt it was necessary. Now, it wasn't only a good episode in my eyes, but it was a necessary one. And I think the reason, the fact that so many people are complaining about it and making all these videos like saying how it was crap and everything, I think that's why it's needed. Because people tend to take this show too seriously and just not accept it for what it is. And I admit, I can fall under that too. And there's nothing wrong with criticism of the show, but some people just take it way too far and way too seriously. So I think that we need more episodes like that to really just analyze the people who are analyzing the show. But either way, that's pretty much all I've got to say regarding my wish list. I don't expect everything to happen. In fact, I think it'd be awfully weird if everything did. But I'm really hoping that at least some of it, or especially the majority of it, does. And I'm just ready to get to this episode, to be honest. Well, 2 episodes, this premiere. Because I've been talking for like half an hour now, pretty much, and I think that's long enough, don't you? You guys probably already skipped to the reaction, which is completely fair. And again, I will put this wish list, I'll cut it out and put it up as its own video too, if you just want to check out the wish list on its own. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. And so when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers on the Season 8 premiere of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. So thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you at the reaction. We are back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. That was freaking Maurice LaMarche. I looked it up in between recording the reaction and this after part, my afterthoughts here. That was freaking Maurice LaMarche as Chancellor Naysay. That's freaking awesome. I said in my wish list part of the pre-thoughts that I was going to that one of my wish list options was I wanted to see more celebrity VAs. I'm not going to count him. I'm not going to count him because he's a voice actor by trade. It's what he does. When I'm talking celebrity VAs, I'm talking like big names. Like we had William Shatner, we had Weird Al, all the names in the movie and stuff. So yeah, I'm not going to count Maurice LaMarche, but that's still amazing. I mean, I'm a big fan of his. I love his work. I loved him in Legend of Korra. I love him as the Brain. So yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. And I actually recognized him this time. I actually recognized, because I've said before, I've heard people, it's like, is that Maurice LaMarche? Like with the Infinity Train pilot, the one half of 1-1. Like, the sad one, I think it was called. I was like, he almost sounds like Maurice LaMarche, and it's like, it wasn't him, of course. I was thinking, like, oh, if that was Maurice LaMarche and then Happy One, or whatever it was called, Glad One, maybe, the other half of 1-1, if that was Rob Paulson, that would be amazing, but it wasn't either of them. But this time, it was actually him, and it's like, oh, that's amazing. But on to the episodes themselves. So, Twilight and the rest of the main 7 and Spike work together to start a friendship school as a way of, well, helping to spread friendship by bringing the kingdoms together. And this definitely kind of continues off of the movie. Because it has all these different... It includes the kingdoms from the movie, such as the hippogriffs. For Mount Eris. So it's fantastic that we get to see that. And they even visited Mount Eris, though we saw like almost nothing of it, but they did visit it. So they're starting a school, but the way to get it to work, to be approved by the EEA, was it? It was either EEA or EPA. Either way, to get it approved and accredited as an official, I'm just going to say EPA right now, EPA school, they had to basically get a provisional license. So they're allowed to open the school and everything, but it's provisional, and the chancellor of the EPA, Chancellor Naysay, voiced by Maurice LaMarche, I'm not going to get over that, has to kind of watch them during a part of their first day. Unfortunately, things go awry, and the students, like, they skip class and everything goes wrong, and the chancellor shuts things down and shows that he's a racist asshole. I'm sorry, I hate racism, like, really, really badly. It pisses me off to no end, and the thing is, it wasn't just racism, it was xenophobia as well, and this is a very, 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 like, important topic for modern day. Because this kind of thing has become a big talking point, especially here in America. So I'm very convinced here that this was done on purpose as a way of social commentary in a way. And there will probably be some people who are not happy about that. Just legit, there will be some people who think that it's just completely disrespectful to people who don't agree with that kind of thoughts and stuff, and yada yada, you get the idea. But we're not going to get into all of that here, because we could talk forever on that and it'll just cause some controversy, and I don't want to do that. Let's talk about what I thought about the episode otherwise. I thought this premiere was fantastic for multiple reasons. And again, I'm not getting into the diversity and social commentary part, though I did think that was great. The writing, the characters, the connection to the movie, all of it was really fantastically done. it felt like the story was properly paced. The conflict didn't come out of nowhere because you could kind of see Naysay as this antagonistic character right from the moment you met him. So you can understand how the conflict started, and it makes sense, and it doesn't come out of nowhere. It doesn't feel forced. It feels natural with the progression of the episode. Um, and then the way they solve it and the way that everything comes back together also feels natural. Now, the thing with Twilight's own issue here is that she was trying to go too much by the book and not allow her friends to teach their classes the way they would naturally teach them. And as I said while reacting, I understand where she's coming from. I get her point of view. She was trying to get accredited at that point, and to do that, she kind of had to follow the rules of the book. Unfortunately, that's not always a good thing. I've heard a quote a few times, and it goes like this: "What is lawful is not always good, and what is unlawful is not always bad." And that kind of applies here. I mean, obviously, it's not just as simple as a law, but the idea of like what is going by the rules with this book, with the EPA standards and all, isn't always the right way to do it. It may have worked for other schools, even Celestia's school. It worked great for that. But it's not going to work for everything. And for a school built on teaching friendship like this, it needs to be done in unique and different ways. It can't go by these general standards. So it's not right here. Just because it's lawful doesn't make it good. And just because the actions that they wanted to take were unlawful doesn't make them bad. And I like how at the end it kind of went about like, oh, you can't open this school because we're not going to approve you. And Twilight's like, no. And he's like, this isn't a school. And she's like, no, this isn't an EPA school. And I like that because it's true. It's still a school. It's just because it's not EPA accredited like pretty much every other school in Equestria doesn't mean it's not a school anymore. It's just its own new school with its own set of rules, its own just everything. And honestly, for a school built around friendship, it needs to do that. I also just, again, as I mentioned before, really love the characters. Especially the new characters we got. Outside of our Chancellor friend there. But you're not supposed to like him. He's the villain for sure. And I do hope he returns at some point in the future. But yeah. What I'm seeing here though is that with these other new characters, even with him, he's a well-written character, so I can approve of that. But with the other characters like Gallus, it's going to take me a bit to remember all their names. Ocella, I think, was the changeling cutie. I'm going to say changeling cutie because she's adorable. Silverstream, that was the name of the hippogriff, right? Either way, all of them were great. I especially did love Ocella. She's kind of the attentive student type, but she's really shy and quiet and cutesy. Silverstream, I think it was Silverstream. Silverstream's not the guard, is it? Either way, the hippogriff girl, she is just so lovable. Like, seriously, I want merchandise of her. She is Gabby done right. I mentioned in my wishlist part, I mentioned Gabby and stuff, the griffin who was with the CMC and all. And my main issue with Gabby back when she appeared was that she felt like a Pinkie Pie clone without all the actual character. It was just all the energy, all the comedy, all the excitement without any actual character to her. This hippogriff is Gabby with the character injected back in. And I think that's fantastic. She's high energy, she's overly excitable, she's silly and wild, but she's got her own character. She's got personality, she's got depth, she's got interest to her. And I definitely think that there could be more. done with her, of course. And I really hope they do more. Now, where's this going to go for the future of the season? Is the rest of the season going to all focus around this, or are we still going to get our just main 7 stories and CMC stories and all? I want there to kind of be like what they did with season 4. Remember with season 4 when they had the chest of harmony and all, and they were doing their key missions to figure it out? I want there to be episodes like that scattered throughout the season. Episodes surrounding the school and how it's being run and how the students are getting along and all of that. And we get to see all of that in multiple episodes throughout the season. Maybe even have one episode for each class. Like, have an episode with Applejack doing something with the class. Have an episode with Pinkie Pie, with Rarity and all of them. Even have one for Starlight and Twilight. Starlight doing some kind of guidance counselor thing with them, and Twilight just being Twilight with them. Because she's teaching a class too, so even though she's the head mayor, she's still doing a class. So yeah, I think that would be a good idea and the right way to do it. Because if they tried to make the entire season about that, I think it would feel like a bit much. I still want to see adventures with the CMC. I still want to see adventures with the main 7 on their own and doing their own things still. I definitely want to see more of the school, but I don't think it should be all dedicated to that. Now, this brings up another idea, though. People have been talking about what's going to happen when the next generation comes, when Generation 5 comes. People have been asking, oh, do we want to have it be like this completely new thing or like a sequel series to Friendship is Magic? And my thought is like, yeah, I want a sequel series. What if this is grooming for that? What if these students are going to be the main characters of the sequel series and it's going to focus on them? That would be cool. I think that would be a good way to do Generation 5 whenever it ends up happening. Provided there's not as many seasons left as there might be. I don't know. We don't know how many seasons are left. I don't believe it's been announced, but there might have been a rumor and all of that information and stuff, and that was leaked, but I don't know. That right now we can't take that as official until something's said officially. And I don't even know what was in there anyway, so if you know, do not tell me anything about anything that was talked about in the leaks, by the way. But yeah, I mean, it just brings up that idea. Now, going back to the movie connection, the fact that this is, like, not only just confirmed canon, but the fact that it's directly influencing the series is big. We have Mount Eris, Tempest was mentioned, the Storm King was mentioned. I want to see them continue to go into that. Now, obviously, it's going to be hard to get Tempest and the other characters from the movie in there, because, obviously, they're voiced by some pretty big names. Now, having 1 or 2 episodes might not be a big deal, so I'm hoping they do return at some point. I would love to see Skystar, Queen Novo, Capper, and all of them, really. Also, surprised we didn't get anyone from Cluetown. Any student from there. Oh, well. But I would love to see them appear at some point, even if it's just once or twice. That could be an example of a celebrity guest role. Though I'd still want to see someone new, of course. But I would love to just see them once or twice again throughout the rest of the series. Just to see them again. Just to know that they're still there, still helping out, still doing what they can. And I think it would just really work here. Tempest would be a big one, because everyone wants to see where she's going to go and all. But honestly, of course, Skystar would be my choice, because Skystar. Plus, she's more directly related to the current, I guess, ongoing storyline with the school. If this is going to be an ongoing storyline. I would think so. But she'd be more directly related with that, so I think that would probably be the better choice, personally. Also, another one. Not just Cluetown, but we didn't get anyone representing the parrots of Captain Solano's crew, either. I wouldn't think we would, necessarily. That one wouldn't make as much sense, but yeah, it's just like, I mean, I get it. They're not, like, specifically kingdoms and whatnot. Cluetown and the pirates, their ship and all. They're not really kingdoms and whatnot to count for, so I get why they weren't focused on here. While Mount Eris, it's the kingdom of the hippogriffs, so yeah, it makes sense they would be. Also, I think it's kind of confirmed now that they are just remaining as hippogriffs and not going to try to remain as sea ponies anymore. Which means they're probably on top of Mount Eris instead of in the underwater caverns now. So yeah, that's a thing. Either way, I'm glad we got some interesting stuff here. Some great continuity, a really good story just in general, and overall, a lot of world building and character building that I really do think is going to be big in the future. In the meantime, though, tell me your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think of the Season 8 premiere of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic? What did you think of all of our new students? What did you think about the social commentary? I'm not going to mention it much here in the video, but if you guys want to talk about it in the comments, I'm up for talking about it. What did you think about all of this new stuff that they're really bringing in? Tell me your thoughts on all of that and more in the comments below. And, oh, what did you think of the songs as well? We had 2 new songs already. All of those thoughts and more in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really excited to be back. I know New Star Versus episode is out as well. I'll try to get to that today as well, but more than likely it'll be probably tomorrow. In the meantime, thank you so much. I'm Connie Royal, and I'm signing off. Yeah. See y'all next time.
Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles, shed tears.